Hey everybody, coming to you live once again for a two-parter on Christmas Eve. However, this is not a Christmas episode. This is going to be a news episode. So give us 1 minute as Danny and I just get everything set up, and we're going to start here in about less than a half a minute. So by all means, feel free to share this with all your friends. We got some news and info from all around the world, Disney World that is. So go ahead and share that. We'll be with you in just a second. All right,
Never lets me share to our page.
Let me go ahead and, I think I have to change my security settings. Give me 1 second.
Let me share it to mine.
All right, so I went ahead and changed it to public.
I think it's something to do with our show.
Oh, that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. We'll have to definitely look at that. So, okie dokie. Let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, give me 1 second. Let me get my first. Get my first thing coming up here. Okay. I got Audacity ready. Go ahead and count it down.
Hold on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
I forgot all about Audacity. What was that? All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. You are now listening to our news episode with Uncle Danny and Mr. Chris. Chris, how are we doing tonight?
Hey, I'm doing great, and then we got some news and other interesting tidbits for today's episode. What we try to do every once in a while is just, gather up some of the latest and greatest and what's going on, provide some of our commentary, and love to hear from you as well. If you're happen to watching us live on Facebook, comment on what you think about the different news items that we bring up. Love to hear your 2 cents as well. So, with that said, I'm going to bring up the probably the latest thing that came up. It was kind of interesting because when I saw this started floating through Facebook, I really didn't know what they were going, what was going on, what people were doing, what people were saying. And I am referring to Carrie Fisher. That's right. Princess Leia from the Star Trek franchise. She, I guess, was flying from London to Los Angeles, and she ended up having a heart attack. And, which is, obviously just extraordinarily, tragic. I guess E! News reports, passengers, there was an EMT, they began CPR, and they just continued until the plane landed. She got immediate medical treatment and was transferred to a nearby hospital. And supposedly, and this happened on December 23rd, I might add. According to an update that I read just a little bit ago, supposedly her brother Todd spoke with the Associated Press, and she is in stable condition at this time. I'm sure there's been a lot that's been going on between, all the different news items and stuff like that, and different pieces of info came about this. It doesn't sound like there's too much information, probably because, hey, it is kind of a private thing. But wow, I read that and I'm like thinking to myself, man, we can't, we got to make it through 2016 without losing another awesome star of the screen. First and foremost, on behalf of Danny and myself, our thoughts and prayers go out to her and her family, hopefully for a very speedy recovery, not for, if for no other reason, just because, this is not something that, really anybody wants to happen during the holidays. So yeah, I read that, Danny, and I was like, whoa, that's intense.
Yeah, that is, it's scary at any point in anybody's life to have a heart attack like that, but especially on a plane, possibly over water where there is no immediate landing and anything like that, is definitely, a very scary situation. So, I'll reiterate what Chris said. Definitely our prayers out to the whole family, hoping for a speedy recovery, because no one wants to deal with this, but especially no one wants to deal with this a couple of days before Christmas, which had happened for her. So I really hope maybe a little extra pixie dust from everybody in the Disney community can help, get her better quickly.
Absolutely. So, but so I'm just gonna, since there's a whole bunch that we have a lot of information on that, I wanted to bring an item up that came up. Want your opinion on this, Danny? I was reading on the Disney Talk Facebook page not too long ago, a few days ago. And there was a post that stated for the first time, All Star Music Resort is going to transform the back section of the intermission food court into a table service location. Did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
So they're going to transform it into a table service location on the 1st of January. Supposedly it's only going to be a one-day only type of thing. Guests, either visiting a resort or they're there for the day or whatever, will be able to enjoy a brunch offering that is an all-you-care-to-eat from 9:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And it's $21.99 for adults, $11.99 for kids. And it'll be availability based upon walk-up opportunities. So no ADRs, so to speak. And you have to kind of check into location for more details. I found this to be kind of interesting because, first and foremost, I know we keep talking about wanting to have good good food services at all the resorts, let alone something a little bit more than just a food court type stuff. And there really isn't too much information about, what they're going to have or this, that, and the other. I can only imagine this is kind of like call it a day after type of thing, celebratory, New Year's Day type of thing. Should be kind of interesting to see what comes of that. $22 for a buffet for adults in Disney speak is not too shabby.
Very reasonable.
It's very reasonable. I know that, there's a couple places that you can get like an all you can eat skillet at some other places for a little bit less. But or maybe my mind is faltering me about what some of those costs have been lately. But really you're going to spend $12 to $14 anyway. When it comes to breakfast. Anyhow, this is only a little bit more sit down, eatery, all you can eat. And I gotta be honest with you, I can eat brunch. I could eat brunch all day long. You get one plate of breakfast, and then you go back and get a plate of lunch, and then you get another plate of breakfast, then you get another. The whole thing. My whole thing it says it starts at 9:30 a.m. and goes to 2 p.m. I'm like, okay, challenge accepted.
Yeah, who needs to park that day?
I don't need a park ticket. I just need a place setting. So, I know it's it's kind of a joke, right? Here I am. I'm a big guy. They see. I remember the late John Panette, the comedian. He always used to joke around and used to say things like, he would go to a Chinese buffet and they look at him and go, "Oh no, you can't come out here. You're not going to come here and eat at this buffet because you're too big of a guy." And, they probably see me and go, "Oh man, break out more eggs because Mr. Chris is coming to town." I'm like, "You betcha."
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, I don't know what you think. I like this idea.
I think it's interesting. I want to see it actually in person, how it all plays out. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, the price point, with the price point, I don't see how it can go wrong. Now, it also depends on the quality of the food. You get, the famous saying, and, as a kid, I never understood it. But as an adult, I've really grasped it more and more, especially with running a business and everything like that, is you get what you pay for. And it is 100% true. You really do get what you pay for. So, with that being a nice price point, does the quality fall off?
Well, some people say, how can you screw up bacon and eggs? And all I got to say is, believe me, you can screw up bacon and eggs. Mm-hmm. How many times have you ever gone to some kind of, cheap, buffet of some sort, that's being run very poorly. And it's like, you go up and you grab yourself a scoop of eggs and if, they look like they're swimming in water, egg water, type of thing, that if they've done that, they've done something wrong.
I agree.
Yeah, you can screw up breakfast. You can screw up brunch. You can screw things up really bad. So yeah, you're right. A value is only as good as what you make of it, right? And it's not just about quantity; it's got to be quality. I mean, you can go ahead and give me a $10 buffet, but if it's practically inedible, and I have to go and go to get myself an order of Casey's corn dog nuggets after the fact, there's no value whatsoever.
It's true.
And trust me.
If you're dropping, say a family of 4, you're dropping almost $100, and then to walk out and then have to go get a couple snacks within an hour, it's kind of like, well, should I have just paid maybe a few dollars more, and we wouldn't have to be getting a snack right now?
Yeah, that's the big thing. I mean, especially day after, day of New Year's Day, New Year's Day itself. You're thinking to yourself, it's going to have to be a celebratory type of thing, and But this is only a one-day thing. I can't wait to hear what the different Facebook groups think about this type of offering. I think it's going to be kind of cool. So,
hopefully, they get a good turnout for it. I really hope they do.
I do too. I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't. I mean, really, in all honesty, I know that I love getting myself the breakfast skillet, like at places like Whispering Canyon Cafe, and before. Oh, goodness gracious. My mind is drawing a blank. When Spoodles was still over at the boardwalk.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when it was still Spoodles over there, they had a breakfast skillet over there, and it was great because it was like nobody would go there for breakfast. I mean, when I say nobody, it's like we were like one of like 5 families that were in this place. We felt silly getting an ADR because there was like nobody there. And I got myself the breakfast, all you can eat breakfast skillet. And it was, at that time, it was like, mind you, this is probably 10 years ago. And it was like $12. Ridiculously, $12 or $14. It was ridiculously low price. And what made it worthwhile is it had pastries from the Boardwalk Bakery next door. And I was just like, oh yeah, total complete food joy. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. Now, unfortunately, I'm hungry right now. It's lunchtime, and my mouth is starting to water. I need to switch topics. So let's switch to this topic. Have you heard about how they're, basically they are removing large drink cups from the menus at several of the counter service restaurants?
Okay. So I first read this article and I told my sister, and I was up in arms. And I have an issue with only reading headlines and then forming my own opinion and freaking out. Yeah. So this time I did freak out. I got mad, but then I was like, let me read the article because maybe there's a reasoning behind it.
Right.
And from my understanding is, I'm going to backtrack for a second. If anybody's listened to prior episodes, I've got one major gripe with Disney. And we just did a Grind My Gears episode. Go back and re-downloaded it. And the number one thing I said is, hey, let's actually follow Universal in one thing by giving everybody the freestyle Coke machines. Mm-hmm. And so as I read the article, basically what it's saying is there's no reason to give people large cups. It costs more money for them to buy and for us to order them. So they've downgraded it and only give you a medium cup, but it's unfillable. It is unlimited refills.
Unfillable.
They're unfillable cups. No, but they are, unlimited refills. So with that being said, there is honestly, as much as I like the large cups. Everywhere I go, I always get a large drink because I tend to drink a lot when I'm eating or walking around, whatever the case is. There is no need for a large cup when they're giving you, unlimited refills.
And I didn't catch the unlimited refills part, to be honest with you. And I will have to agree that if they're going to do that, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the other part to it is that, I always liked having a large cup because, kind of like what you said, I'd like to have something I can drink. I drink a lot, and even if I'm going from a food court at a resort to the bus stop, I mean, I'll consume that whole cup of beverage, that type of thing in that short period of time. Even walking around the parks. You go to Electric Umbrella for lunch or something over at Epcot, you fill your cup up and there you go, type of thing. And, and even if it's just filled with ice water, which, hey, I do a lot as well. I mean, while I love myself a, good Diet Coke with a splash of the pomegranate lemonade, I still, believe you got to just hydrate with whatever you can really tolerate. But, Yeah, I mean, I guess you could say streamlining it streamlines costs, and that's always good for Disney in the bottom line. Um, I don't have an issue with that. I really don't. Um, I mean, Disney's a business. They've got to make their stuff too. But at the same time, streamlining does actually help a lot in the background, things that the guest does not see. It also doesn't. You also don't run into the problem of, well, what size drink should I get? Well, you're going to get one drink, and you're going to like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So I don't really see an issue with that. So
Well, actually, to stay on the whole idea of the freestyle Coke machines, I don't know if you saw this. Gasparilla, the Island Grill over in, God, it's been a long day. Grand Floridian.
oh, okay,
It's okay. So that was one of the few, and it's actually I believe it's the last standing 24-hour. Basically, you can get it's open 24 hours.
right,
It was down for refurbishment. It's been down for almost about 2 to 3 months. Well, it reopened a few days ago, and the changes to the restaurant were minimal since a major refurbishment was done just a few years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago. So they basically all they really did was they redid a little bit of seating. They gave it a nice fresh coat of paint, but they put in an updated menu along with a Coca-Cola freestyle machine, which
oh,
is
nice.
awesome. So they finally, you know what it is? I believe that they heard me. They heard our show. They heard it, they knew it, and they fixed it. No, I'm not that narcissistic. They did fix it though, which is nice. The Gasparilla Island Grill is open 24/7 daily. It's got hot breakfast till 11 a.m. It's made to order items until 11:30 p.m. And then outside of that time frame, it's basically a grab and go kind of style.
Hmm.
They'll have chips, cookies, Pop Tarts, Rice Krispie treats, things along that nature. But it is nice for anybody who, getting back from the park late, whatever the case is, it's nice to be able to, you know, now if you're staying at Pop Century, it's a little bit harder. Or if you're staying at a moderate or a value, it's a little bit harder to do this. But, say you're staying at Poly or you're staying, basically, or the Contemporary. It is nice to be able to, hop on the monorail, jump off if you want, around 11, 12 o'clock midnight, go get something to eat, and then, get back on the monorail, go back to the hotel. Or if you don't mind, grabbing an Uber, grabbing a cab, or if you're driving, it is an option than just ordering, usually room service is even open that late, but
Right.
ordering pizza, getting it delivered to the hotel. So I think that Disney knocked it out of the park with this, and definitely adding the freestyle Coke machines is always going to help. Because how many times you're walking back to your room and you want something to drink, you're like, oh, I really wish I would have got something. And you're walking by, if they have a vending machine, you're like, well, I don't have any cash on me. So this for the Grand Floridian guess is good, and or if locally, but I think that they should start expanding this. I don't think you need one in every hotel. I
No.
think that is a bit of a stretch. But maybe some of the hotels that you don't get to 24/7, maybe it's extended hours in some of them. So a lot of them close early, and they close before the parks close. So if you're one of those people that do rope drop to close, or or if you're there just for the magic hours, you're kind of limited when you get back to the hotel room if you're looking for a bit of a snack. And I think there is a market for it, and I think Disney knows that, and I think this is definitely one of almost like a trial to see how it goes, and then they'll start expanding it.
Well, we've talked a few times on the show about how to expand late night offerings would be a very good thing, because how many times do we want something before we hit sack type of thing, and you get back to the resorts from the park, so 10 minutes before 11, when most places close at 11. We'd love to hear have something a little, open until midnight or something like that, or whatever. I think all of that would make a better late night dining experience for the guests. And I'm not talking about having to have everything open. Just have something decent. I mean, grab and go is one thing, but sometimes you just want a pizza. You
Yeah.
know, and usually, and when I say it like that, it's because a lot of times you can share a pizza with other family members, or you can get I mean, we do a lot of sharing. And it makes a lot of sense to do so. So you try to do that, so you cut back on what you have to pay for, and also who wants to eat a huge meal anyway before you go to bed. Now
Yeah.
maybe there's some people that do that. It's not really the best
I
thing in the
do.
world. You know, I
Yeah.
shouldn't. You know, there's, could and shouldn't, or,
Two different ballparks.
yeah, usually it's a problem. So no, I totally agree. And I like to think that, that someone, as it said in one article I read, should we hope that freestyle machines are coming our way? Don't hold your breath is what it said. I quote, and it's right. I'm not going to hold my breath. It's as simple as that. So I
Right.
don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, with 2017 rolling around, we are seeing some changes, and there's been a lot of aerial footage shots of both Toy Story Land and Star Wars
Hmm.
Land,
Hmm.
and also some pictures of Pandora. So what I want to first, I'll start with Pandora. It's supposed to open in 2017. They still have not yet nailed down an actual time frame. Originally, a lot of people it was circulating the summer of 2017. I'll tell you what, everything that I've seen recently within the past week or two, you're not seeing that summer of 2017 anymore. You're just seeing opening in 2017. And by looking at the photo, there's a lot of work to be done. A lot of work still to go.
They haven't shown anything on the inside, which I think is the reason why I think there's nothing. The progress isn't as strong, and we've said this before, but the summer of 17 can, go through the end of August, beginning of September, and Kathy and I have actually talked about this a few times. The whole idea behind, do we want to go to Disneyland instead of Walt Disney World for our vacation, because there's so many things that'll be opening, but we don't know when. I don't have a problem enjoying Disneyland as well. I love Disneyland. But at the same time, with all the different changes that are going on, and the idea that there's so many things that are opening in summer of 17, and knowing that we're probably, I know what's going to happen. The day after I leave, they'll do soft openings for everything, and I'll get messages. Hey man, did you hear about this? I'm like, really?
I hate you.
It's like thanks a lot for really messing this up. It's like, I'm back in Kentucky. I'm 2/3 of the way home, and you're going to tell me this. But it is what it is, and I don't really care for that. But it's just one of those cases where there's so many things that are going on. I can't wait for Pandora. I really honestly can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm not like super excited, like hyped up, like saying it's going to be the best thing since sliced bread. But I'm really intrigued as to what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. I think that's my biggest thing. I still think back when it was first announced, and so many people that were either excited or they're going to hate the idea. So I can't wait to see. Considering I think this is one of the first major lands, quote unquote, that has been created outside of Fantasyland, and even though Fantasyland was kind of more of a redo more than anything else, but this was like something brand new from scratch that I think that I've seen since I started going to Disney, and the thing that kind of makes me wonder is, I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it. I'm looking forward to seeing how it translated from Imagineer to reality, and then guest experience and guest reaction compared to what they thought it was going to be like. So it was one of those things where this is one of those things where it's like, I can't wait to see it. So I know I'm just kind of talking. I'm kind of thinking and talking at the same time with it. I'm thinking about what it's going to be like. Which, sorry if it seems like I'm distracted. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, man, what could it be like? But yeah, I really look forward to seeing what it looks like.
Oh, I'm super excited for it. It's just I'm getting nervous with this whole. You're not seeing the summer of 2017 anymore. You're just seeing opening in 2017, and judging by the aerial photos, there's a lot going on. Now, granted, maybe the inside of the buildings are almost done. Maybe all the pipe work, maybe everything's ready to go, and maybe they're just getting ready to basically pave the pathways and move on. It's just from up above, it doesn't look like that. Now, with that being said, going over, I mean, I'm not I don't know what the word I'm trying to use, but I knew that Star Wars was going to be bigger than Toy Story. I get it. I mean, we all knew at the end of the day, Star Wars had the bigger draw, and Star Wars Land was going to be bigger than Toy Story, which is fine. I think everybody listens, and anybody who's well enough into Disney understood that.
Right.
Looking at the aerial photos, though, Star Wars looks massive. Massive. Now, if you guys go check it out, you can look at it at www.magic.com. So basically, I believe that's the I-4 corridor that runs parallel with Hollywood Studios, right? You know what that is?
Yeah, I don't have a map in front of me, but I do believe you are correct.
Okay, so basically the picture is, you see the lagoon, you see the Tower of Terror, and then you see all the you see the road, and then you see the wooded area, and then you see this giant, almost pyramid shaped cutout of land, and it is ginormous. It honestly, it could be a whole half-day park just itself. That's how large. And now, granted, there's no show buildings built there, so maybe when they start adding buildings, maybe it cuts down on size a little bit, but it looks huge. And looking at Toy Story, not that I'm not excited for it, because I am super excited for it, but it almost looks like a sandbox compared to what Star Wars has. It's like Star Wars is the house and Toy Story is the sandbox and the backyard.
Well, it's kind of funny. Kayla made a comment. It'll probably be more than half the park, and the thing in reference to Star Wars Land. You're right. It could be almost half the park, and you could stop and think that you could spend almost a half a day there, which I think is actually kind of I don't want to say the purpose of it. Obviously, they want to draw people to Hollywood Studios again, especially with, two major lands being done or redone, however you want to put it. It makes a big difference. And
yeah.
And also think about this for a second. And this is something that I just thought of just now. And maybe I'm a little late to the game, but this is how I'm thinking of it. You have Pandora, you have Toy Story Land, you have Star Wars Land. You've got the different changes at Epcot in a few years from what they're hinting at. Just had the major redo of Fantasyland a couple years ago at Magic Kingdom. If you think about it, when this is all said and done, it's going to rebalance the desire to go to every park and to spend at least a full day at each park, if not more. Because right now, I know that a lot of people consider Epcot to be a multi-day park, especially if you enjoy all the countries. There's conditions to these things, obviously.
Yeah.
Everybody tends to, a lot of people spend more time at Magic Kingdom, probably more than anything else, because, hey, it is the Magic Kingdom. Some people think that Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom were both half-day parks. I tend to disagree with that, and I say that from a before construction, a BC, if you will, type of thing over at Hollywood Studios. But I could spend more than one day at Animal Kingdom, really enjoying the park. And
really,
I can. I can, and especially if they're starting to do more things at night.
If it's terrible at night though.
But it depends on what you do. For example, I wasn't a big fan of the safari at night for about 90% of it until I heard the lions roar at night. That was epic. Now it made that trip worth it. But the thing of it is that doing some of the rides at night actually is really pretty cool. Like
Everest.
Everest. Thank you. You knew exactly what I was thinking about. Everest at night is epic. Seeing the Tree of Life at night, epic. Doing Dino Land at night is actually fun. It's kind of, it brings back a the Carney atmosphere. Now, granted, seeing animals at night is that's not it. But there are certain things. The atmosphere at night is really, really cool. Just like, what's the best way of putting it? When I went to Disneyland more specifically, California Adventure, and I went to Cars Land, and at night it changes its atmosphere. You
Oh,
like
I can
there,
see that.
like there, you felt like you were in Radiator Springs, right? Well, same thing for Animal Kingdom. At night, I kind of felt like, wow, I am right there in an African village, or something to that extent. And with the music, and then it's kind of like you kind of feel like you're there. Um, it's amazing in how the lack of sunshine really brings out the atmosphere, and also shows and how much detail the Imagineers have put into it. I mean, it's really actually pretty cool. So yeah, I think that when it's all done, I think the parks are going to be rebalanced, and we're going to see a lot of really cool things.
Yeah, and I really feel bad, but I think Epcot's going to take the back seat.
Well, there's been some talk over at D23 that they were going to put a new focus on reimagining some things over there, and more than just changing things out from like Ellen's Energy Adventure and stuff like that. I mean, I think they're gonna eventually, and who knows when this is going to come up. This is just me. This is my speculation only. I have no facts to base this on anything, but I have a feeling they're going to redo it, and it's going to be epic. That's all I'm going to say. And my whole take on it is this: I'll go to see Pandora, and I'll basically come back here on the show, and I'll basically say, "Oh yeah," like a Kool-Aid guy. And really make a decision on whether or not it was worth the hype. I mean, there are some things that may not meet the hype, but quite honestly, it's a very rare occasion that Disney misses anything like that. I mean, they're serious about it, and I believe in that, and I just think it makes a lot of sense. So,
all right, so what else you got for us for news?
I got one last item before we have to get going today. So there's the idea that now pass holders, annual pass holders, are they could basically have their own lines to get into each one of the parks. And a lot of people are saying, hey, this is really cool. And I think it makes it a lot. It's a little perk for pass holders, which I think is great. I think this is kind of a trial basis right now, and it's really not impacting normal guests, non-AP guests, because it's like, normally they're going to turnstiles that aren't really normally being used, which is fine. And there's even some speculation this may be like a sign of returning of certain perks to pass holders, which is great. I was a pass holder for a number of years. And sometimes you just want to have a little bit of a perk. And if you're able to go through and, go through it in the beginning of the day when lines get a little crowded, hey, makes sense. It'd be kind of cool. Now, this is not getting through security faster. This is post security before the turnstiles. These are turnstile queues that we're talking about here. It's not like you have a fast pass to get through security or anything just because you're an AP holder. But I think that is actually going to be kind of neat. And each one of the parks, 4 major parks, has that available. And there's signage, that will show guests where those particular things are. I think it's really cool. I mean,
I think it's an awesome idea.
I agree.
And you know what? It almost entices people maybe who might frequent there enough to warrant getting that. I mean, not just a little, it's something, I'm not going to go out and buy the annual pass because of this, but it is nice having that almost like a little extra perk. Being like, hey, you know what? We value the fact that you've come here often. We value the fact that you choose to spend your hard-earned vacation dollars in our part when you can literally go anywhere in the world with your money. You're choosing to stay inside Disney. Well, you know what? Maybe if we can get you in a few more minutes quicker, that's great. I mean, Disney's always expanding, and we had talked about the parks and everything, about rebalancing and everything. And I thought of this tagline, and it's so true. It's not your grandfather's Disney anymore. It's not even your parents' Disney anymore.
No, it's a big difference now.
The Disney now, it's new. And you know what? By the time, Chris's kids get old enough and maybe they have kids, and my kids, I don't have any kids, but if I ever do have children and they get old enough, I would love to, I hope that me and Chris are still doing this at some aspect, because I would love all the years in the line being able to remember when, like when does it become obsolete? Like, at what point do you say, like, do you remember Mr. Toad? And you're like, wow, that's a blast from the past, because we're getting to the point where things are really dissipating, and it's not the Disney that even, because me and Chris went a little bit in obviously before I did, but even in the early 90s, it's not the same Disney anymore. When Chris's kids started going in the early 2000s, it's not the same Disney, and that's a good thing. I mean, yeah, I love the old school style of Disney, but I also like being able to grow because, as much as I want to keep the old rides there, it's still, it's 2000, we're about to be 2017. Modern technology has advanced so much since Disney opened in the 70s that it's, how could you not want change? But so that was Chris's last thing. I just want to touch on one very, very quick thing. Did you happen to see that the newly expanded ferry boat dock entrance at Magic Kingdom?
No, I did not get to see that one yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's part of improvements to make the entrance security areas at Magic Kingdom, a bit wider, and they're now open for operation. There's a new entrance and exit can be found much closer to where the watercraft dock is, directly across basically from MK's entrance. It's likely to be used for additional security screening checkpoints at some point or another. I would assume that's what it is. They're not saying it, but I would assume it is. There is also a large, and I mean large, empty space has been carved out that used to be a very big grassy area. And there's benches in there, and there's garbage cans in there, but they put almost like the cement pilings in the middle of there. I guess almost like so someone can't drive up there, but I don't know where you're getting a vehicle. I'm not really sure what they're going to be using that area for, but I did see there was a long-term plan to move security screenings away from the entrance to provide the decorated areas to keep their look, which I thought was pretty cool.
I will say I think that actually I think that makes sense. I actually like that. I guess the reason why I say it is, I think back of, like the big brick layout of where it says Magic Kingdom, but unfortunately it's kind of obscured by, security. And the funny part is like, if you ever seen the Family Matters episode at Walt Disney World, and you have, oh gosh, the main character. Yeah, gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I love the show. I can't remember the character name.
Family Matters in
but he's like, I'm in Disney World, and it shows the big Magic Kingdom logo and everything. It's like so awesome. But I think what that's really trying to do is to streamline the guest experience, which I think is ultimately what needs to happen. So.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So with that being said, let's wrap this up. I hope you all, depending on when you listen to this, have a good Christmas, had a great Christmas. New Year's is right around the corner, but, we'll be putting out some other shows and we'll be going live leading up to it. But if you don't happen to be able to get to us by then, I hope you all have a happy new year. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media platforms, on Facebook at Behind the Ears Podcast, over on Twitter at Behind the Ears PC, Instagram is at Behind the Ears Podcast, and any listener questions, concerns, comments, want to be on the show, want to send us pictures of some cool things you maybe got for Christmas from your significant others, whatever the case is, you want to stop in and say hi, you can always reach us at Behind the Ears Podcast at gmail.com. Like always, rate and review the show on iTunes and subscribe to our YouTube channel. So with that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Ears Podcast. And I am Uncle Danny, and I am signing out.
And I'm Mr. Chris. Thanks once again for tuning in and listening to us. Don't forget to share us with your friends. And until the next time we meet, have a magical day. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye now.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, everybody. We are going to go sign off. This is the last episode that we're recording for today. Have a great Christmas. And by all means, just give your loved ones a hug. And we'll be back to broadcasting different things starting Monday, most likely. Maybe Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe unless we have a Christmas ham hangover. But hey, thanks again to everybody who watched. We really do appreciate it. We love you guys, and we'll see you next time. All right, take care. See ya.